One Monday morning at the Emerald Oak Bank's headquarters, Emma Carter, the newly hired branch manager, was sitting nervously at her desk. She was eager to prove herself in such a prestigious position, and she believed today would be her chance to shine. As the bank bustled with activity, a middle-aged man dressed in a simple shirt and jeans walked in. His steps were calm yet confident as he approached the counter. "Good morning," he said politely to Emma. "I'd like to deposit a large sum of money into my account." Emma gave him a quick look, frowning. "We'll need to verify your account first," she said in a curt tone. "Of course," the man replied politely, and handed over his account details. Emma glanced at the screen, her disbelief immediately visible. She leaned in closer and lowered her voice. "Are you sure these details are correct?" "Yes, they are," the man said calmly. "You'll also need to prepare for the deposit. It's a transfer of $200 million. Emma froze. She leaned back in her chair, crossed her arms, and gave him a skeptical look. "Listen, we do not tolerate fraud here. If this is some kind of joke, I suggest you leave before I call security," she said sharply. The man remained calm. "This is not a joke. Perhaps you'd like to see my business card," he offered, reaching into his briefcase. Emma took a step back. "No need. Scammers always carry fake business cards. You can't fool me. You probably think I don't know how this works, but I do." A low murmur spread through the room, and some customers shook their heads in disapproval. "I'm not a scammer," the man said firmly. "You're making a big mistake." Emma wasn't listening. She pointed her finger at him. "People like you always try to game the system. You think you can just walk in here and claim to have millions. Get out." The room fell silent. A tall man in a sharp suit had entered the bank unnoticed and had been listening to everything. Slowly he approached Emma and the man, clearing his throat. "What's going on here?" Emma turned to him, her face flushed. "Mr. Morgan, this man claims he wants to deposit $200 million. I was just about to call security." Mr. Morgan raised an eyebrow. "And you want to call security because of that?" "Of course. He's lying. Just look at him," Emma exclaimed. Mr. Morgan turned to the man, a look of recognition dawning on his face. "Mr. Clark, it's a pleasure to see you," he said warmly. "It's been a while, Morgan," Mr. Clark replied with a small smile. Emma blinked in confusion. "You know him?" she asked. "Of course I do," Mr. Morgan said. He then turned to the crowd. "Ladies and gentlemen, meet Mr. Ethan Clark, the largest investor of Emerald Oak Bank." Emma's face turned pale. But, she stammered. "Let me make something clear," Mr. Morgan said sternly. "Mr. Clark is not just a client. His investments helped this bank survive the last financial crisis. Without him, we wouldn't be here today." Emma's mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. Mr. Clark remained composed. "I was hoping to keep this visit low-key, but it seems that's no longer possible," he said, casting a glance at Emma. "Mr. Clark," Mr. Morgan said, "on behalf of Emerald Oak Bank, I deeply apologize for the treatment you've received today. This is unacceptable." He turned to Emma. "You've been here for barely 2 weeks, and this is how you treat our clients?" I didn't know," Emma stuttered. "He didn't look the part." "Didn't look the part?" Mr. Morgan snapped. "And what exactly does someone with $200 million look like?" Emma stayed silent. Taking a deep breath, Mr. Morgan addressed the entire bank. "At Emerald Oak Bank, we pride ourselves on treating every client with respect, regardless of their appearance or attire. What happened here today is a disgrace." Turning back to Emma, he added, "You're fired. Effective immediately. Clear out your desk." Tears welled up in Emma's eyes, but she didn't argue. Humiliated, she walked away. The room erupted in applause. Mr. Clark turned to Mr. Morgan. "I appreciate how you handled that. Let's proceed with the deposit." "Of course," Mr. Morgan said, as he escorted Mr. Clark to a private office. The remaining customers couldn't stop talking about what had happened. The lesson was clear. Never judge a book by its cover.